Evening, folks. I thought I'd do this background today because a few of you said it's quite calming to look at. So, if you've got it on your TV, I hope it's giving you some nice cyberpunk vibes and you're having a nice start to your week. It is Monday, it is a start to everybody's week. If you were keeping the world going round and round over the weekend, thank you very much for working and making sure that all the lights were kept on. You do a lot for us, so thank you. And also, you know what? If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. The Patreon is down below. I will be doing another Q&A towards the weekend. If you want to give me any questions that are going to get answered on the channel, then, chuck me a question on the Patreon, and I will get to them as quickly as I can. So, more Games Workshop stories. This is one of the best things I ever decided to do, to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, for the channel, is that it's getting people who used to work for GW together and making sure that we've got a place to vent and have a little chat and stuff. I think it's one of the things that this channel does that not a lot of others actually do. And aside from Hobby Nightmares, I think it's our bread and butter, really. I've now got 5 or 6 stories to go through from ex-Games Workshop staff or current Games Workshop staff. And yeah, all of these are really entertaining to read, and a lot of them I get a lot of, shall I say, not vindication. Some of them actually make me feel really bad because I acted in different ways to different people in these stories. Whereas some of them actually think, oh yeah, actually that I really do have a lot of empathy there. Anyway, Vulcan Stan says, "Hey North, I wanted to share a shorter story about how a friend of mine almost cost me my job at Games Workshop. A horrid tale, to be honest, that cost me a friendship, but at the same time saved me from someone who could have gotten me into real trouble eventually. This takes place a few years ago, before the start of 8th edition here in the US. I won't mention the town, but I am on the East Coast. At that time, I'd been running the store for a while, and had gotten the job after leaving GameStop, thanks to them being truly toxic to me and my staff. I am ashamed to say, I was the first rat off of that particular ship, as soon as Games Workshop made me a decent offer." Okay, cool. "This is not a Games Workshop horror story, as they are not at fault in this one. They've always been good to me, and have always had my back totally. They are good people, and as you say, there are some real diamonds who work there. I do say that, yes. I also think here in the US, stores are given a lot more room to maneuver when it comes to selling their own stock, growing customer bases, putting on events, and so on. It's almost like anybody not in the UK kind of gets a free pass so long as the money keeps coming in. I have a friend who works in London, and he says it's totally different working for Games Workshop over there. Anyway, yes, it is. Yeah, it is completely different. I have a few friends who work for GW in the US too, and they have a completely different experience to what I do whenever I talk about how it was for me, and that was for other managers like myself. They just, kind of shake their heads like, wow, man, that was not how it was with me at all. I love my job. And you know what? There are certain parts of the job at GW in the UK that I also loved, but it just, the bits that we didn't love, and other people didn't love, meant that we're not there anymore. Anyway, so, I've been running the store for about 6 months at the time of this story, and things are going pretty well. And I'm coming up to the end of my probationary period. Basically, the period where they can fire me for any reason at all. Yeah, it sucks. Probation period in any job sucks balls. You've literally got to be on your best behaviour all of the time, or you might get sacked. I mean, don't be on your bad behaviour, but honest mistakes can get you sacked as well. All of my friends are into the hobby, and so they are super stoked when I land the manager's job at Games Workshop. That's such an Americanism, super stoked. Grow up. I'm sorry. I make it clear I don't want to turn it into my own clubhouse, though, and that it's a retail business. It's my job. It was really hard to keep this boundary there, as some of my friends just did not, or refused to get it at all. Their behaviour would be good for a while, then they'd slip into acting like we were at my place talking about girls, weed, and other things. I am not a killjoy, but as I said, this is my job, and it's important to me to keep things professional. That's completely fine, man. If you have any friends who are, your actual friends, they're going to understand that completely. I don't get why that's a controversial thing to say. I have to do that as well. Whenever one of my friends would come into my store, I would have to be can you not do that? In fact, I had one friend of mine, a friend of mine called John, and when I was working in a store and I wasn't the manager, I was just the staff member. My manager was a bit of a dick, as I've said a few times on the channel. And John came in, and John does not suffer fools lightly. He barbs people. If somebody has a go at him, he's a very big guy, long hair, beard, but well kept, not smelly, well kept, nice looking bloke. And he strides in, sits down in the store, and our manager refuses to let anybody sit in the store unless they're doing hobby. You need to be doing some sort of hobby, or he's not going to let you sit in the store, essentially. So, John goes in, he buys a set of whatever it is, Space Marines. He used to do the hobby back in the day, buys Space Marines, sits down, and we're talking like mates, right? And you can tell that we're mates. And I'm trying not to let it on he's one of my mates because, my manager wouldn't have liked that. He wouldn't have liked that I had a friend there at the store that day. So we're sitting there, and John says, "Oh yeah, there's some sort of a subject comes up about somebody in politics. Keep politics out the store, right?" So I'm like, "Oh no." And then John just says, "Oh, that guy, yeah, he's a douchebag," right? And my manager says, "Don't say that word." And John says, "What? Which one?" Just barbing him. "Which one?" And the guy says, "Douchebag." And he went, "Well, you just said it." So he just carried on, just barbing him the entire. So don't say douchebag. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say. But you just said it. No, don't say what though. Douchebag. You just said it. Right? It went on that way for about 4 or 5 minutes. Anyway, I got a warning for that. So that's another thing that. And John got me several beers that night when we went out and we got the train down to London. A couple of hours on the train. Got the train down to London. Had a night out, and he bought me several beers to apologise. Anyway. Come in and do some hobby. Carrying on the story. Come in and do some hobby. Talk, shop, hang out and paint, but that's about it. One of my friends, Luke, was a decent guy outside of the store, and we had become very good friends over the last couple of years, as he used to work in GameStop with me. He got fired shortly after I left, and was now working as a social worker, which was pretty cool, because my mum is also a social worker. Cool, that's awesome, man. As my other friends stopped coming in so much, Luke was always there, as he worked nights and evenings, so most days he'd come in and hang out and do his painting. Awesome. It's always great when you got that one customer to talk to. I used to have a guy named Alex who would come into the store. If you're watching, Alex, hello. And he would come in and sit down and generally talk. Alex was a talker, right? He could talk and talk and talk and talk. And I would literally sit there, and he was one of those nerds where if he saw something that he liked, he told me about the show Lucifer for about 3 hours once. I run through of the entire story, But it's kind of like having a podcast on, so I just let him talk as I was building store models and stuff. It was great. I just really, zen moments like that. Anyway, one day I got a call from head office. This is where it all starts to go pear-shaped, I think. One day I got a call from head office asking me to check my stock levels, of which I did, and found that a few things had gone missing from my shelves, namely large Space Marine Battle Force box sets, the kind that we sell over Christmas. Everyone knows what they are, I assume. They're like £120 normally, big box sets. I asked the rep on the call how they knew the stuff would be gone from the shelves. That was pretty weird. They told me I had known lost these items in the register. Now, known lossing is when you run an item through the register to tell Games Workshop it is either defective, broken, damaged, or is being used in a store project, so to take it off of the stock levels. Yeah, so that's to make sure that they know that things are being nicked, right? So they know how much you're supposed to have of a Space Marine Battle Force box set, right? So if you're supposed to have 6, and they come and do a stock check and you've got 3, they're like, well, where have the 3 gone, right? And if they see you've known lost 3, then they know where they've gone. That's that kind of a thing. But if things are getting known lost all the time, they're going to be like, well, why did you known lost that sort of a thing, Anyway. Normally, if you want to use an item in a store project, like a scenery board or display or anything, you need to let HQ know, and they will send you on no problem. Only experienced managers are allowed to just known lost things to use right there and then. And even then, not 5 Space Marine battle forces. I mean, you could email HQ and they would send you the battle forces, no questions asked. But just known lossing them, that sends the wrong message entirely. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Yeah. You were never meant to just known lost any sort of big stock thing. I mean, paints you could, no problem. Paint brushes you could, no problem. That's fine. But any sort of Any sort of like big model set, not really. Unless you're a really experienced manager. My manager did that quite a lot. He would known lost things. He'd known lost entire scenery boards sometimes to use, which is, because he'd been there for 20 years and they knew he wasn't a thief, right? So they knew he was gonna actually use them. But normally you have to call up HQ or put in an order to HQ. So in your next order that comes to the store to replace your stock, you have the things that you ordered for your store project there as well. Which is still pretty cool, but, you have to wait a little bit. So, I say, I have no idea what you mean. I have not known lost anything in my time here. Oh, wow. The line goes quiet before the rep, a nice young lady, says, okay, now I'm a little concerned. I'd like you to do A, B, and C on the register. This will log all the times it has been opened in the past week and send a report to us. I said A, B, and C there because I don't want people knowing what our tills do and how for obvious reasons. Yep, fair enough. So I do so, now shitting myself, my heart hammering in my chest. I have rent payments and things, man. Scenarios are running through my head of my needing to move back in with my parents and my girlfriend leaving me because I'm a jobless bum. All of that good stuff. Yeah, man. The longest few hours of my life go by, and finally, the phone rings again. It's the rep. Okay, she says. Your till was opened at or around 1 PM on these 4 dates. Can you remember opening the till now? I think over the dates on the calendar, and then the bottom drops out of my stomach. I turn around and look at Luke, who was sitting at the painting table. He would lock the door for me whilst I went upstairs to fetch my lunch from the refrigerator sometimes. I looked back to the dates. A Tuesday, a Thursday, a Tuesday, and then a following Thursday. The days Luke stayed with me in the store. I walked outside of the store and relayed this to the rep. She said this was very serious and he needed to be told to leave the store calmly whilst we figured out what had gone on. I put the phone down and told Luke. He swore blind he did not steal anything, to my face. Actually got really angry at me for even suggesting it. He picked up his Space Marines and stormed out. Yeah, excuse me while I take my 4 Space Marine battle forces and leave this store. I can't believe you did. No. Thing is, I never saw him in the store again. Yeah, of course you didn't. Yeah. When I asked our other friends who played with him on the weekends, I couldn't attend as I was working. They told me he turned up with a load of new Space Marines a few weeks on the run, and they had actually jokingly said things like, wow, have you raided Stan's store or something? Jesus H. Christ. Oh my god. Don't tell me you got sacked or got a major warning for this. As far as I know, he denied it for a couple of months before finally, when something else went missing at their gaming club, only for him to return, quote-unquote, the codex he had borrowed, quote-unquote, a month later, they confronted him, and he finally admitted to stealing from the Games Workshop that I ran. Not only that, the only reason he admitted it is because another friend of ours, Will, had taken over my GameStop store and had been told, Luke had been fired for stealing 2 PS4 consoles. Wow. So yeah, he was cut out of the friend group and I have had trust issues ever since. That dude was a top guy. What an absolute waste. Man, I can only imagine. That sucks so bad. Especially when you know you've got a real one, where you think you've got a real one, like a real good bloke, real good dude, and he turns around and stabs you in the back. That is shitty. Games Workshop gave me a stern, non-official verbal warning when a trainer came to visit, saying we will put it behind us, but this was some catch by the rep to save my job. I actually found out her name and sent her some flowers into the office, and that got me a lot of goodwill from the folks there. I also called her and said how much I appreciated her basically saving my job and going to bat for me when explaining the situation to the regional managers. What a shit show, but I've never looked back and I'm still at Games Workshop now. Cheers, North Stan. That is cool, man. That is really cool that they just put it behind you. That they said, yeah, we'll put it behind us, but don't do it again. That's awesome. And the fact that she actually went to bat for you as well just shows you how many cool people are working at Games Workshop. And I will tell you this. If you're good to the people who work in the office at Games Workshop, they will save your ass 9 times out of 10. Like, if something is going wrong at your store and they can see it on the stock levels, or they can see it in like, different petty cash issues, or they can see anything going wrong at your store on their end, sorry, they will call you first, unofficially, and say, we'll keep it between us, but this is going on at your store, what the fuck's going on, right? And you have a chance to get in front of it, even if you've made a mistake. I did that once with my stock levels, when I did a stock intake, right? And I can't remember how I did it, but I did it wrong. And so, like, my stock levels were way off. I had, like, 90 dry brushes. You're only supposed to have, like, 1, you know what I mean? It was like that. It was all over the place. And somebody from HQ called me up, like, one of the people at the office called me up and said, listen, this is the most out of whack, store level thing I've seen in a while. How did you do this? And I told her how I did it. And she said, yeah, that's wrong. You've entered it into the system in the wrong way. I'm sending somebody around tomorrow, and they will do it with you whilst you run the store. Because to do your stock check, you had to do it on your own time off. You weren't allowed to do it in store hours, which is bullshit, right? So you had to take one of your days off, right? Your days off, your holidays, and come in and run a stock check in the store. She knew it was bullshit, I knew it was bullshit, and I did it wrong, because I was like, oh my god, I've only got 1 day to do it. This guy came in, no word of a lie, came in and did the stock check whilst I was still running the till, right? I was just doing it cash only that day. I'd taken petty cash out of the till, and we were doing transactions like that, because I could still I could still ring things through the till. I just couldn't exchange product for monetary value, that sort of thing. But I could put things into the till, like, this happened on this day, this much money, this much change, bang, and it goes through, right? Whilst he did all the stock levels, it was all done, all fine, no more was said. They will go to bat for you. They're amazing people. Just treat them right. Treat them right. The flowers would have been a good touch. They would have loved that. They would have loved that shit. Anyway, love you all long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more lore. I love you all. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will speak to you tomorrow. By the way, if you're getting any models, make sure you go over to Composite Games and support them. They will be, over the next couple of weeks, running international shipping. Yes, it is finally happening. My international people are finally getting the international shipping. It's happening. It's not a drill. It's happening like that office meme, right? I will have more information towards the end of the week. I'm going to try and do a call with the store manager over there and get things sorted out, get things all straightened away. If you're in the chat Composite Games, just let you know, I will be calling and we'll sort it out. But yeah, you will be getting your offers, your international offers. So, love you all long time. I will speak to you towards the middle of the week. See ya. Have a good one.